Jonathan Lee Riches Investigates. I am covering the Alec Murdaugh case. Let's talk about a jailhouse taped conversation between Alec Murdaugh and his brother Randy Murdaugh. I'm going to play a clip. They have a conversation. They talk about bankruptcy. They talk about habeas corpus and writ of mandamus. Check this clip out and then we will further discuss. Check it out.
Have you talked to Jim and Dick or whomever else about filing bankruptcy, bro?
Yeah, I mean, we've discussed it, but there's some timing.
I mean, it's almost like you're stuck in bankruptcy right now, but you got all the bad from it, but none of the good from it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're trying to, they asked, Jim and Dick wrote a memo for Tiller to go argue about that. They just said it's absolutely as wrong as it can possibly be. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
That is just wrong. So they're talking about, I'm not really familiar with this, but apparently there's a civil remedy. What is it? I've heard of the writ of mandamus, but I don't really know what it is. But it must be something that gives you quick turnaround.
Right.
When
it's
you got
something
immediate
straight to
harm.
the Supreme Court. Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what they're going to do. If, you know, he's going to deny it, and he's going to do it. But they at least told me, Dick came to see me yesterday and told me that the Supreme Court, you know, they filed I've heard of this too, but I didn't know what it is. You know what a habeas corpus a writ of habeas corpus is?
I know it's something directly to the Supreme Court, but other than that, no, I don't know.
So apparently, you know, there's nobody with this kind of stuff that has ever not gotten a bond. It might be a huge bond, but they get a bond, and you're constitutionally entitled to a bond for non-capital offenses, is what they tell me. Constitutionally entitled. And because it's a constitutional violation, you can file a writ of habeas corpus. Same thing like writ of mandamus for a civil charge. Habeas corpus is for a criminal charge. I think they're the same thing, just one's criminal and one's civil. And anyway, they initially said they weren't going to expedite it, but then they said they are going to expedite it, and they gave the Attorney General 10 days to respond. I don't get my hopes up about anything because I don't think normal rules apply to me right now, but they seem to think that if the Supreme Court wasn't going to do something, that they wouldn't have done that. So they're at least optimistic they're going to do something.
Right.
I mean, the Attorney General only asked for a $200,000 bond, you know. I mean, they could give me, you know, a $20 million bond, but and comply with the Constitution. But I'm being facetious. I think it's got to be, you know, reasonable. But they could say $5 million.
You wouldn't think the judge would say more than what the Attorney General asked for, you know?
Well, he said no bond.
Now, I have a lot of questions about that clip. Randy, which is Alex's brother, he actually works at the law firm that Alec used to partner with, the Parker Law Firm. There used to be numerous people involved, Alec Murdaugh and others, and then they changed it to Parker Law Firm. Well, Randy still works there, and he asked Alex, have you considered filing for bankruptcy? Now, he said that, which I believe is because lawyers know if you're facing civil judgments all over the place, like Alec is, the best way to avoid paying penalties is to file for bankruptcy. Lawyers tell their client that all the time. If they're being sued, file for bankruptcy. So if you get sued and there's a judgment against you, they can't collect. So that was interesting that Randy said that to Alex. So are they scheming about a bankruptcy that Alec might file? Did he file bankruptcy already that we don't know about? Not sure. Will he file bankruptcy to avoid civil liabilities? And then Alec talks about writ of mandamus, and he talks about habeas corpus. What is a writ of mandamus? I'm going to show you what a writ of mandamus is right here. And what is a habeas corpus? Right here. So obviously Alec is still behind bars, so it looks like the habeas corpus and writ of mandamus was not effective at all. Looks like, you know, his attorneys struck out on those two extraordinary measures you can take with the court. I want to know what your thoughts are with Randy talking about bankruptcy, having conversations with Alec Murdaugh. I am going through the Alec Murdaugh Jailhouse clips, got many of them on my channel, so check out my Alec Murdaugh playlist. Check out my Alec Murdaugh playlist on Jailhouse conversations. Got 2 playlists about this case. We'll talk soon. I'll be playing more tapes later, just giving you some insight in the mind of Alec Murdaugh, who is spending the rest of his life behind bars. No parole for the murders of his wife Maggie and his son Paul. There'll be future cases, possibly with Alec Murdaugh coming up. Prosecutors stated on the record recently that they are seeking life sentences, additional life sentences for the financial crimes that will assure Alec Murdaugh will never get out of jail or prison if he ever gets his murder convictions overturned. We'll talk soon. I'll be posting more Alec Murdaugh related content. Justice for the victims and their families. Everyone be safe. God bless.